we will continue with the props example this time. Looking at what we did up to the last time, we made a book list component. And this book list component proceeds from the top level component, which is from the app.js file. The app component to the static data, the book data receive a prop. So if you go back to book list, component and the book data inherit from the app component is received from an object called props, which is the automatically created when you create this class-based component. However, when I receive it like this, I showed the form in two forms, and I went through the last time until I explained that the second form is the structure decomposition assignment grammar of ECMA script 6. Structure decomposition assignment, which we will very use it frequently in the future, is not a difficult grammar among ECMA script 6 grammars. So I will briefly point you to these contents, point out how to use them, and continue to the next step. Now let's assume that we have an object. For example, if we create an object called var or object and there's a value of this object, assuming that there is a value a, value as 10, and also there's a letter b and it has value 20. Then what we usually did is, for example, give the variable a and the value of belonging to object dash a, and then general code was to give the property value and to the value b of var same and give the property from the object b. By the way, if this code is very simple, it can be changed to like a and b dash object. The value is put into the property with the same name among the object properties with the variable name of object for this object. Then, naturally, A has 10 and B has 20. This grammar is the grammar of ECMA script 6 called destructing. This is the same for objects, but you can apply arrays like this. However, things that get values from objects and things happen very often. Since the data coming from the server will also come as JSON data, I will do a lot of work to pull out the data and put it into my specific object. You should be familiar with the syntax of this structure decomposition assignment and be able to use it conveniently because you will be doing things very often, such as pulling data from props and pulling values from a state that you will learn later. The content itself is not very difficult. So in the future, I will tell you that destructing, which is the structure decomposition and assignment syntax, is used a lot. And then I will proceed with the code. Declared a variable called books and receive the book data from the app component in props. I will remove the first one because we are not going to use it. Then you have to take a picture of whether this data actually exists. So let's take a picture of the first list item once only the title of the book. So how to take it out? I'll print it out once in the form of simply taking the title in the zeroth index of the book. So remove item 01 and put the curly braces, the JavaScript, and type books and 0 and put the title. Save it like this. Likewise, if app.js is not saved, we will do the yarn start. If you save it like this, you will be able to see that it is automatically changed and reflected in the browser we have. Then the fact that the book title Spring microservices in Actions has been uploaded will mean that the book list property received the data from the app component from props. What I mean is that it was confirmed that the data from this app was received from the book list without any problems. Now the next step proceed is to create a book list item object and pass the data in the current books one by one to the book list item back to the prop. Now let's create the component called book list item.js. Now how to make it: declare a new file in the component folder and create booklist item component with the booklist item.js. Since it will be a React component, let's import React and component from React library. Let's define a class booklist item, and it will extend component. As what I said, inside a class, you need to have render method. And inside the render method, you need to have return statement. If you make it like this, the basic code for making the booklist item component is complete. Now I'm going to use the booklist item here. Let's look at the PowerPoint again, and I'm going to make one of the list item now. I'm going to make this one, but if you look at it, the images should also come out and the explanations for the book should also come up. So to make it come up like this, I will use a grid to divide it into two and then display this contents using a Material UI component called an image tag on one side and a grid item on one side. First, the grid is used, and the grid used like this will be put on a component called paper. Paper, grid items. I am talking about these components which are all provided by the Material UI. So like I just said, I'm going to use some of the components in the Material UI. So let's add another import. So we will get import. First will be the paper and the next will be the grid from Material UI core. Now proceed like this, and we will express the text using components called typography. So in the book list item, three basic components used in the Material UI are paper, grid, and typography. Now in the render method, we will make in this render method and print the contents of the book now. It will be receive a prop. So you will put the cons from the render method and then put the book from this dot props. Now let's define it like this. The book list will decide how to give information about this book. The book list item can be configured on the premise that the props contains information about one book. In the return statement, we will write the code, use the paper and grid and typographic components imported from this Material UI a while ago. So first, I'm going to put the paper and put the grid inside of it. And there are two types of grids. Now the grid can give you two of these properties. It's a container grid, so I'm going to put container as an option. So you can understand that it's a grid that acts as a container that contains grid items. Then we will divide the spacing into two. So you will put spacing and give 2. then you can understand that two grids are created horizontally. It's a grid like grid in it. And then inside the grid, you will put the grid with the property called item. Then, as I explained, this text will be on the left side of the image and on the right side of the image. But this grid is a container. And likewise, both left and right are grids, and both are grids but grids items. Then have an item option, so put an image here inside the left side, and then there will be another one on the right side with the book list items detail form. I implement it and I will also show how to implement it in the code later on. You can understand that the structure made like this is the code you will see it now. So assuming that this book has data, we now have to create another grid item. Two grids underneath it will contain the text at this time. So first inside the grid item, you will put the image and then you will put image and put the src that will have boot dot image url. This is a general HTML tag. You just need to pass the URL with the book image here. You can type book.image URL in the src because I put the data in this form. So we will make another second grid item, and inside here I'm going to put typography component, and it will give several properties. First will be the component give h5 option, and the second will be the variant will be assigned same h5. And then inside the typography, we will put the book, the title. So of course I could have to define the few more typography, so I have less explanation. I'm going to write authors and there are such few parts, but I'm going to do this for now and check actual images and book titles. Save after doing this. But now the book list items will be used for book list. So be sure to export the book list item to export. So we'll put export default and put book list item and save it. Now once defined, the code has been written so that the basic contents of the book list item are uploaded. Now if you reach this point and you've finished exporting, you can use one of the book list items and put it in the book list. So I'm going to hand over the zeroth book now. And what I'm going to do is remove the book's title here and put the book list item and put the book, and we will put the book's zero information for the first very index. When you type book list item, if it's not automatically import like this, you have to type this import statement here. And after you proceed with this and then save it, and you can check the title of the book and the image of the book like this. Then it is said that the list comes up like this. We receive information about the book as a prop from the app component. I created a book list item with one of the information in the book, which is the object array received, and handed over the very first book with the name book as this prop. Then how did you do the book list item? Take the book out of the per set and put the URL for the image in the image tag. Then form that only the title was taken in the form of H5 using typography became the result you see right now. Then what we can do more now is let's go ahead and give the author's name and add some explanations for the book. And in the book list, we will modify the code so that this book list icon can be printed in the form of a loop. And I'm going to reduce the image of this book a little bit in order to refine the displayed screen a little more. I will try to apply a minimal style. The style is a simple look at how to apply the style in the Material UI. Actually, we are not going to go into the depth of the styling of the Material UI. However, I will continue with the next time only about how to apply the style. Then this time I will finish it here. I will finish the props example next time. Thank you.